Welcome to the Book Nook with Sarah. It all started with my journal, my blog, my letters, or in my case, my speeches. For some people, writing books seems overwhelming and far beyond their reach. Well, I must share, I felt the same way. I knew I wanted a book to share my thoughts and understanding into the world of mental health. I also knew I struggled through English and was told my work was poor. How could I ever imagine writing a book? I have learned that it is not a book I needed to write. I am a speaker. I write speeches weekly. I present these talks to keynotes to audiences of 1 to 1,000 and feel confident doing so. It was one of my great mentors that said to me, Sarah, you need a product, write a book. Now, as you can imagine, this was easier said than done. But walk through this with me. I write speeches often. You might write journals. I have family that supports me. I knew of an editor and I knew my topic. Just write. And you will be amazed that those stories, those journal notes or blog entries could be used as your masterpiece. Know that you don't have to figure it out. There are coaches and others to support you. And finally, know that every story needs to be told. My book is not yet completed, but will be in the meantime. I have a chapter in a book which I am proud of. Think big, start small. You too can write a book as our authors have. Today, our author Shannon Tobin will share her journey of writing Transformation, Discover Your Own Flight Pattern. With an honors degree in architecture and interior design, but a lack of self-confidence needed to land her a dream job, Shannon Tobin started her entrepreneur path 21 years ago with a global cosmetic company. She's represented her Canadian team in the top 10 for the past 11 years and lead these amazing women into the #1 position in all of Canada in 2009. When asked, what is she most proud of? Shannon says, to be able to look in the mirror and be proud of who I see, confident that I can raise my son, Cole, to never give up and follow his dream, and to be able to pass on that to other women and their families too. That has been worth all the sacrifices that came with her choice to become an entrepreneur. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. Shannon's vision and purpose is to inspire, motivate, and move others to accept and embrace their beauty and their defects, and to know that their greatest strengths lie with who they already are. Shannon went from surviving each day to thriving by creating and living a dream lifestyle, which she now wants to pass on to others by sharing her story with you in her recent book, Transformation, Discover Your Own Flight Pattern. She says, I believe that if a woman discovers her own self-worth and understands that if someone hurts her, abandons her, or betrays her, it says nothing about her worth and everything about the other person's character. Right after the break, we'll meet Shannon and Transformation. Welcome back to the Book Nook with Sarah. As mentioned, we are here and excited to have Shannon Tobin and Transformation, Discover Your Own Flight Pattern. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I loved your book, read it from cover to cover, and what I loved most about it was it's a true plan to help me better my life, feel better, feel stronger, feel more inspired. Tell us a little about why you wrote this book and what got you excited about this topic.
Well, it was actually my life coach who actually put the belief and the dream in my heart, because I never, ever thought of writing a book. Never thought I was capable of writing a book. Never thought anybody would read my book. And going through a series of turmoil, challenges, pain, he was the one who said, you know, you have a story, you have a message, and others need to hear about it. And so it was just through journaling and making that decision that, you know, in order to turn my mess into a message, I needed to get it on paper.
Love that. Turn your mess into a message. Can you share a little about that mess before we get into the book?
You know, just all the poor choices that I made. You know, that growth really does come with a price. You know, a lot of times people see you as a successful entrepreneur, and on the outside you look perfect and you look like everything's going great, but on the inside I had a lot of turmoil, and I was really just merely surviving. And a lot of people don't see that because they just see the extremities of what they really see. And so in order to inspire other people and to give them the courage to make decisions, to let go of what's no longer serving them, I needed to take my mask off and really be vulnerable and be open and just share my story. And it really, actually, it's done more than what I ever expected it to do. So.
And I love that, taking your mask off. We talked about that once before, Shannon, and this whole concept that we all have a story inside of us, and that story could be one of triumph, one of success, one of, you know, beauty, one of pain, one of sorrow, one of whatever that is. But we all have a mask, and if we could just take those masks off and live that life, people will know they're not alone.
That's right.
So what is your story? What is your book? Where does it come from?
It actually started as from my childhood years. You know, my dad died when my brother and I were 3 years old. Left my mom a single parent, not by choice. And, you know, a tragedy that turned into a beautiful thing later on down the road. You know, sometimes we don't look and we don't see and understand why certain things happen to us. But years down the road, we count our blessings, and we know that there was a reason for that happening. And so just all the decisions that I made over the years by not having a male role model in my life led me to making poor decisions in choosing relationships. And not really seeing my own self-worth and becoming vulnerable in certain situations. And so you don't always realize until years later, until you see yourself looking back, all the lessons that you learned really came from that one incident, that one tragedy that happened in our family.
And it sounds too like you had supports and people that helped you figure this out. Your life coach, was there others? You know, who do you need to help you to get through some of the tragedy that you might have had in your life?
You know, I really believe that, you know, we all need strong people in our circle, and, you know, you become like the 5 people that you surround yourself with, good or bad. And so some of the people that were in my circle were not always that great. And so I learned things from those people that weren't not necessarily a positive thing.
Sure.
And then I realized that, you know, when the pain of remaining the same became greater than the pain of change, and I knew that I wanted to become better and do better and be a better role model for my son, I realized that I had to make some decisions. As a parent, as a mom, I always said, you know, I want to leave a legacy and build a strong foundation for him. But the choices and the decisions that I were making at that time by staying in relationships that weren't necessarily good, and by not making choices to get out of certain situations, was not actually giving him a great example. And so he was the reason why I made some of the decisions that I had to make.
Isn't it always the kids that are really teaching us the lessons? And I would think too, when I read your book, Cole's played a significant role in that. So the children in our lives, for sure.
Yeah.
What is one key piece that you can share with us about the book? We'll get into the book a little later, but just one key piece that when you were writing the book, you know, what did you think? Like, did it release for you when you were writing and journaling, or was it bringing up old memories that was, you know, nervous or exciting? Like, what feelings did you have when you were writing?
It was actually very healing and liberating in the same time. I knew that my story would inspire as long as I shared it with other people. And I didn't realize, after, you know, when I look back and I read the chapters again, I didn't realize some of the things that I was actually putting up with. You know, we teach people how to treat us by what we accept, by what we stop, and by what we reinforce. And so it was kind of like the mirror facing me, you know, saying, you know, you are where you are today based on the choices that you've made or you've allowed other people to make for you. And so I think the first step is taking 100% responsibility and making the changes that you want to make, because so often we become victimized by our circumstances. And that was one of the lessons my mom taught me from a very early age, is that she never became a victim of the circumstances. You know, she's one of the strongest women that I know, and it's thanks to her that I was able to make some of the decisions that I made.
Great. I love that. Look in the mirror. Maybe that's the first place to start, is just to look in the mirror, look at yourself, and really just let it be. Who are you and who do you want to be?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk right into the book and get right into the nitty-gritty about what you can do at home. Not only if you've been through a tragedy yourself, but also if you're just having pain in life and you want to feel better and respond better to circumstances and go out there and live the life you want, right after the break. Welcome back to the Book Nook with Sarah. We're here talking about transformation and finding your own flight plan with Shannon. So what is that? What's a flight plan or a pattern?
Flight pattern? Well, it's discovering what it is that you want out of life. You know, I call it the occupation, discovering your occupation. You know, something that you're passionate about, that you can make money doing, just going from surviving to thriving.
Wonderful. So making money, loving what you're doing. I wonder if the world could say that. If we all did that, if we all lived that, what did you call it again?
Occupation.
Occupation. Love that. Feeling the passion in what you do every day. What was your passion?
Mine was twofold. Mine was, number one, building a strong foundation for my son, being a role model, and leaving a legacy and inspiring other women to break the mold of conformity. And, I thought I was just going to be doing that with women, but I've had several men that have read my book and that have been inspired by it as well. So it's really not gender-based. It's just, it's for everybody.
One of the things in the book that I loved the most, and to find kind of that occupation, was how people, winners, do it differently. How do winners do it differently? You have a couple of points in there. Can you share one or two with us?
Well, I think clarity is power. And I think that, once somebody makes a decision, 100% commitment, we say, when you're 99% in, you're 100% out. So you need to become 100% committed. Committed in what? Into finding happiness. Committed to finding a job that brings you joy. Committed to living in an area that you want to live. Making that 100% commitment to step over the line and make those decisions that you have to make, because growth does come with a price. And success isn't easy. And so often people say, what's the magic bullet? Well, you're the magic bullet. You have to take one step forward each and every day. And so taking 100% responsibility, no matter what detours, obstacles, roadblocks that you have to have that mentality of, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. Nobody's going to take me out of my game. And so I teach, and I'm passionate about teaching people how to master their thoughts and master their skills, because you can't have one without the other, and be truly happy and successful in life, in my eyes.
So Shannon, but the bottom line is there are going to be roadblocks, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be things. I always say, sometimes you have to find the opportunity within the obstacle. So if you come across an obstacle, how do you find that opportunity? How do you find it?
Well, knowing your purpose. We always say new level, new devil. I thought I actually had my transformation. My coach said to me just not that long ago, he goes, you're still in your transformational stage, because, you get to one level. When you're at the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of the next. And, growth really does come with a price. But when you have a purpose greater than your challenges, greater than your obstacles, and you wake up every single day just knowing why it is that you're living, why it is that you're doing what you're doing, what your purpose in life is, the obstacles just kind of run off your back like water does on a duck. You just, they don't bother you the same. You don't react. You respond to situations. And I used to be a reactor and always defending. And it was because I was in survival mode. I wasn't in that thriving mode. So that's really a big difference.
And it's easier said than done, though. Really it is. So what are some tangible things that our viewers today can go, wow, I could start that today?
Be willing to work on you. So often we look to try to fix other people. I did that for years, try to make other people happy, try to help other people build their business. You can take a willing person and make them capable, but you can't take a capable person and make them willing. And nice. So you have to first become willing and capable. And, I used to work with people and, we say dragging a dead horse, trying to convince people, you have to breathe belief into people and tell them that they can do it and that you believe in them and that you're always going to be there for them. But until they make that decision themselves, that no matter what happens, no matter what obstacles come their way, they're going to keep going,
And isn't that so true for people that are trying to quit smoking or lose weight or exercise more, or any of the kinds of things in life that you sit there and you think, I want to do that, but I should do that because, I've been told I could lose 10 pounds and I'd be healthier. But unless you want to do that, that's you're right. saying it's not going to happen.
You got to work on you. You're the only one that's in control of you, and you're not in control of other people.
So what's the first step? What could I do today? I'm going to take control of me. How do I do that? What is one thing I could put my fingers on?
Find something that's going to make you passionate. I don't get excited about going to work necessarily. I don't get excited about grinding. I don't get excited about getting 5 hours of sleep. I don't get excited about those things, but I do get excited when I look at the end result. So, you got to begin your day with the end in mind. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing. And, be present in the moment. So often we're living in the gap and we're looking down the road, 3 weeks down the road, 3 months down the road, 3 years down the road, and we're never happy because we're always looking at where we still have to go and what we have. We don't look at how far we've come. And so I think if you can be present in the day and give yourself, that commitment to playing your game full out each and every day, And no matter what, you know, you just play your game in all areas of your life. You know, I'm all about freedom, you know, freedom to be, to have, live, and give and receive. I'm all about that, but I'm also all about dividing my life into 3 areas. You know, I want, you know, a quarter of my time spent on my work, a quarter of my time spent on family and friends, and a quarter of my time spent on fitness, personal development, wellness, lifelong learning. And so every day I say, okay, how can I balance all this? And really there's no such thing as balance. It's about harmony, because things will happen in your day that you didn't expect. So you just have to kind of juggle things around and go, okay, well, what do I need to do here? But that's why I'm an entrepreneur. You know, that's why I've been doing this for 21 years, so that I have complete control over handling some of the obstacles that come my way and saying, okay, it is what it is. That's one of my favorite statements. It is what it is. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah, and one of the things I've always, and I think your book even, you know, showed me that I was on the right track for this, but I always include some of that passion into what I do every day. So even though I have a paperwork day, that's not my favorite day of my business, but I have a paperwork day, I make sure that in the middle of that day I have a good walk, or I have a visit with a friend for lunch, something that creates that passion and keeps it alive. When we come back from the break, we'll dive a little bit more, and I love your notes page, and I want to talk about that for just a minute right after the break. Welcome back to the Book Nook with Sarah. We've been talking about transformation and finding that flight pattern. And we're talking with Shannon Tobin today. Shannon, what happens when you're going through and you're finding this flight pattern that you've talked about, and all of a sudden, you know, your foot's stuck to the ground and you just can't seem to move ahead or move forward? So it could be a job, a relationship, and you know that there's a change that needs to happen, but you're stuck.
Well, I think so often, you know, we all get to that place where we're stuck. I thought I was thriving in my life until I've, you know, really faced some, you know, not so great tasting ingredients that were coming my way, and went, okay, why is this happening? But I think what really helped with me was discovering my why. You know, creating a vision board as to, you know, what was it that I wanted in life? You know, I ask a lot of people this question, you know, if it was just you in the world and nobody was to affirm you, nobody was to condemn you, criticize you, approve what it is that you're doing, you know, would you live your life differently? And every single person that I ask that question to has said yes. And I'll say, well, how would you live your life differently? You know, would you live in a different city? Would you have a different job? Would you have different relationships? And they would, obviously the answer a lot of times is yes. Well, what's holding you back from doing it? And, you know, when I look at myself and I look back at, you know, the years of conforming in situations that were not healthy for me, were not good for me, were not making me move forward in God's plan that I know He had for me. And the biggest thing was that I was always afraid of what other people thought. And I had this conversation with a great friend over lunch yesterday, and you know, it's all about that. You know, why is it that we look for the approval and the affirmation from other people? And I think once you know what your purpose in life is, I know what my purpose is in life. It really doesn't matter to me what other people think about my journey that I'm making, because I know it's integrity based. I know it's based on, you know, my purpose of raising my son so that he can, you know, be and do and have whatever it is that he wants to have. And so there's always going to be people that don't like the decisions that you make, but if you're solid in the decision that you make and you know why you're doing it, that really is the first step.
And I love what you talked about with the vision board. My family does vision boards, and it's amazing because it gives everybody in your family, if you do it with your kids, to look at where you want to go and what do you want to do and where do you want to be. And then every day when my kids are down, they're teenagers, or if they're having a bad day, I'll say, go to your vision board and do one thing to help you get to the next step. And it could be as simple as, you know, writing a letter or looking up a brochure or something online about the trip they want to take. And all of a sudden it brings their spark back. It's lovely. Absolutely. So vision boards are a great way. I also noticed, Shannon, that you have a lot about, you've got pages where you can just write notes. What are you asking people to write in there? What would be helpful?
Action notes. You know, when they read something, you know, where do they see themselves, and what action notes, what decisions do they need to put into place right away? So it's kind of like a little reminder as to this is what I need to do. And, you know, I know one of my coaches years ago said, you know, you never write down everything, but you write down the things that you're willing to do right away.
Because there's so much you could write. And two, people talk about journaling and say, well, it's too much. I don't want to journal every day. But you're just asking for a note, a thought, an idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And is that how you came about writing the book?
No, it was somebody breathing a belief into me, saying, you know, you have a story, you have a message that other women need to hear. You know, it's that working for a cause, you know. And, you know, one of my biggest things was, well, I don't want to write a book for profit. You know, this isn't something that I want to make money off of. And so my cause was to give back. And so the profits from my book are going to a nonprofit foundation called the Dare to Be You Foundation that I formed.
Okay, so it's Dare to Be You.
Dare to Be You Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that all about?
Well, there was two real big meanings behind it. I wanted to be able to help and inspire women, women who are stuck, women who are broken, women who are from or in toxic, abusive relationships. And so my goal is to have a book in the hands of every woman that enters a shelter in North America.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It's huge.
Yes,
it's a big, big goal. And, you know, teenagers, you know, I look at myself as a teenager and all the mistakes and all the things that I probably could have learned that I didn't. And I think so often, you know, we overlook, you know, the youth. You know, I look at my son and I say, I don't care what it is that you do in life. I just want you to be happy and to find your purpose and to find a passion and go and make money doing it.
Excellent.
And, you know, so really that's working for a cause, you know.
Well, Shannon, I think working for a cause, transformation, finding your flight pattern is good for all of us, whether we've had tragedy or not in our lives. Pain, of course. So pick up this book, but we can also hear you speak. We can follow you on your website and look forward to hearing more from Shannon Tobin. The Book Nook with Sarah is created to highlight our local authors and their stories. Next time you are ready to pick up a new book or want to learn a particular skill or experience a new adventure, think local, think London. My name is Sarah Hilton, and I will aim to bring you more stories about our local community and the talent and the expertise we have right here at home. For now, pick up a book, and until next time on The Book Nook with Sarah, happy reading.